What are you saying, YouTube? There's a quote I like. No man is my friend. No man is my enemy. Every man is my teacher. What does it mean? Well, let's put it this way. People come and go, so work on yourself. You understand? It's all about personal growth and development. There's a saying, nostalgia will be the death of you, which means if you're stuck in the past, you're not growing. But you know who is growing? Your friends are growing. And that is why someone who was your childhood friend might not be your friend in college. Someone who was your friend in college might not be your friend when you're 40. You have different goals, different values. You have a different acceleration mentally. Your growth is on a different timeline, per se. And so sometimes I have to leave people behind. Let me quote the Bible for a second. Corinthians 13:11. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I understood like a child. Then I became a man, and I put away my childish ways. Some people never put away their childish ways, and friends diverge. There are no permanent friends, you understand? That's how it works. You either grow together or you grow apart. That's how it goes. All right, so let's start with a story. I'll start with a gambling story and explain my YouTube journey, per se. Okay. I want to show you how minds think alike. One of the people I enjoyed meeting on YouTube was the captain. Now, if you don't know the captain's background, it's kind of dubious, kind of notorious. But basically, in case you're not familiar with this story, I'll break it down as best my knowledge what happened. So basically, the captain was like a teen runaway. He was living on rooftops. He was homeless. And he gets in possession of a gun and starts going up the East Coast. He robs a bank in Maine, gets caught, has to go to federal prison with the psychopaths. He's not old enough to buy beer when he's convicted, but he's in with the hardcore lifers, you understand? But the captain can survive any environment, and he survives that environment, and he flourishes. He doesn't waste his time doing nothing in there. He starts reading. He's a voracious reader. He starts devouring textbooks on blackjack and becomes an expert in card counting, basic strategy, and shuffle tracking. Gets out of prison, starts beating the game. Casinos fear him. And then one day he starts a YouTube channel, and he becomes the #1 YouTube channel for blackjack. It's the #1 search suggestion for blackjack. And when you're #1, the haters have to come. There's an old saying among people that understand human psychology, and it goes like this: the more they respect you, the more they can hate you. And he got a lot of hate. Whether it was rightly or wrongly, that's for you to decide. I judge not. It's in the Bible. Judge not, lest ye be judged. I ain't judging. In any event, one thing leads to another, and he picks up a stalker, and he literally threatens the stalker on camera, and his channel gets dissolved. And when those algorithms don't promote your channel, you're done. And so the captain was done. He's got to rise from the dead. You understand? Okay, so one day the captain contacts me because his stalker became my stalker. This guy's crazy. And the stalker will give him the name Kevin Davis. Kevin Davis starts stalking, not just, he's a career stalker guy. In fact, he's been arrested 2 times. No, he's been arrested once, but charged with 2 counts of felony stalking. That's who he is. And if you were his enemy on the internet, you were in for quite a treat. In any event, this is how I meet the captain. He writes a comment on my YouTube channel, says, "Rob, contact me, here's my phone number." So I'm like, okay, I'll call this guy up. I have no idea who he is, but I'll call him anyway, because I did a little check. He's an enemy of KB, and that's all I need to know. I'm willing to listen to what he's got to say. And We start talking, and he gives me one of the most fantastic scenarios I've ever heard. And I knew right away, this guy thinks outside the box. This guy just might be a genius. I'm going to tell you what he told me afterwards. First, I'm going to tell you a gambling story that shows that Rob thinks exactly like the captain. Okay, let's go. So back in the 80s, blackjack dealers had to manually check. Now the 80s was a different time. It's the Wild West, bro, because the mob is still influencing Vegas. Not all casinos have cameras in place. It's kind of interesting. In any event, dealers back then had to manually check for a blackjack. What that means is if they were showing an ace or a phase card, a 10 card, they had to look at their whole card and determine, do I have blackjack or don't I have blackjack? And this created a problem because some dealers were weak or not properly trained, and when they went to peak, there was what's known as a spook. Someone who had a good viewing angle when he's peaking and then would signal to the rest of the team what the down card was. So let's just say the dealer's got a king showing. He's got to check for blackjack. He checks. There's a 6 under there. The spook sees the 6, signals to the team. It's a stiff. It's a 6. Now, you're a team member on the table, and you're holding a 16. You're going to stand because the dealer has a very weak card. It's the same thing if it was reversed, right? He's basically showing you that he's got a 6. You're not supposed to have that information, but it's basically the same thing as his up card was a 6, and you don't hit your 16. And that's on the assumption it's a 10. So when it's reversed, you know he's got the 10 and the 6. You are 100% not hitting your 16. And it looks natural because a lot of players don't hit 16 against dealer face card. And in fact, if you're counting and you're holding 16 and it's positive, you're not supposed to hit it. Now you might hit it as camouflage, right? But you're not supposed to hit it. When the deck's negative, you hit it. And there's also another rule in 16 that most casual players who employ only basic strategy don't know. And that is there is a difference between holding a 2-card 16 and holding a 3-card 16. So I'm just throwing it out there. If you know basic strategy, tell me what is the strategy when you're holding a 3-card 16? Because all 3-card 16s are not equal. And there's certain 3-card 16s, even if you're not counting, you're not supposed to be hitting against the face card. And what are the rules? So I'll tell you the rules. If you're holding a 3-card 16 and one of your cards includes a 4 or a 5, you're not supposed to hit it. Yeah, that's a fact, bro. You can go look that up. Anyway, so back in the day, spooks were used, they're team members of the blackjack team, to signal the whole card. Okay, so some dealers are weak. But there was a guy, and I'm not going to give his name, We'll say everything is allegedly, even though I'm not giving his name, because this guy is world famous in the community and well respected, but he likes to hide his past. So I'm kind of going to give some details of his past, which are available to the public to go find if they want to do their own research, So I don't mind saying it. And psychologically, I could tell you why I'm giving this information up, but I'm not going to do it in this video. And I'm not going to name him either. So in any event, there was a guy who was world class, and I mean world class at everything. He started his career as a craps dealer, became a casino manager, then he decided there was more money in ripping off the casinos, and he started ripping them off, started cheating at the game of blackjack. And he was also ahead of the curve, so he was using computers before computers were illegal. If there was a way to get the money out of the casino, this man knew it. In any event, one day comes along, and he becomes a casino consultant. He explains to casino management how to, and this is the fun part, how to catch cheats. Who would know better than to cheat? Now, he probably didn't put that on his resume, but basically you had the fox in charge of the henhouse. And this man was a little adventurous, and he decides to do a shuffling scheme against an Atlantic City casino. And he gets caught, and it was a very bold scheme. He gets caught, he has to do something like 4 months in jail, pay restitution, and he's a convicted felon. Now we got a problem. The convicted felon is deep in the gambling community, not only respected, but he owns gambling companies that are innovative and that are making shuffle machines. When the Nevada Gaming Commission hears that he was convicted in Atlantic City in New Jersey, when he was convicted there for a third-degree felony, and when they find out he owns a company in Las Vegas selling or trying to sell shufflers to the casinos, they have to remove him from the board. He has to sell his shares. Yeah, it's a big fucking mess. A lot of people don't know this about him, but yeah, it's true. And the thing about Rob is, I don't give a fuck. The truth is the truth. You can hide it all the fuck you want, but at the end of the day, you gotta look yourself in the mirror, and you're going to know the fucking truth. You know. So don't blame Rob. I'm just the messenger. You know what I'm saying? And so, any event, this casino consultant, who's a convicted felon, one day writes a book. And this book is all about, hey guys, you can know what the dealer is holding. Some dealers give away what they're holding as their down card, their whole card, when they're checking for the blackjack. They have physical mannerisms. They're known as tells, you know, like telegraphing. Same thing in poker. You know, you watch the guy's breathing, and his breathing is telling you whether he's got the goods or he's bluffing. Or you're watching his neck, watching the vein pulse on his neck. It tells you whether he's got the goods or not. You're watching him chew the gum. He stops chewing when he's bluffing. You understand? You're watching for some kind of physical mannerism. So this casino insider writes a book, and he's either going to self-publish it or get a publisher to publish it. So he decides he'll make more money if he gets a publisher to publish it. And he goes to the publisher, another guy, world famous, not going to name him, gives him the book. And this man is proofreading the book. This is where things get really interesting. Somebody in a casino gets charged for being a dealer agent, for conspiracy, for trying to conspire or fraud against the casino dealer and player. That this player had perfect knowledge when the dealer checked his whole card, because the dealer was purposely signaling the player what the down card was. The player who got arrested said, no, I'm completely fucking innocent. I was reading his body language. And as an expert witness, the publisher of the book, of the guy who will one day be a convicted felon, not yet, the guy who wrote the book, he's reading the book, and he's used as the expert witness in the court, and he says, I'm in the process of publishing a book right now. And in this book, it explains these physical mannerisms. And I've looked at the video evidence, and this dealer is exhibiting the exact tells that are in that book. And the expert witness of the court, who's the publisher of the book of the future convicted felon, he tells the jury what the tells are and how to look for them. And the jury, watching the video evidence, can spot the tells and knew if the dealer had a stiff under there or a good hand under there. And so the player was acquitted because they couldn't prove any kind of relationship between the player and the dealer, and that these people that are all independent of one another, the publisher and the writer, who are saying these physical tells exist, and this publisher, who has been used in court many times as an expert witness, is saying, yes, I'm in the process of publishing a book, that it reveals that dealers have physical tells, the weak dealers, and it gives away their hand. And that is what this innocent player was using. And so the player gets acquitted. But you know Rob, I don't think like the regular Joe from Kokomo. Rob's actually been around the fucking criminals. Rob actually knows criminals back in the day. Remember, people's hobbies diverge. People's interests diverge. What interests you at 20 might not interest you at 30 or interest you at 40. Your friend from 20, your college days, who was drinking and partying and chased women, and now you've settled down and given up drinking, maybe you don't want to hang around that type of person because you've grown, you've matured. You know, a lot of people, even alcoholics, one day, sometimes they stop drinking. And the reason they stop drinking, they outgrow it. Sometimes you outgrow things. Maybe you played video games when you were 15, but at 40, you don't want to fucking play video games. You know what I'm saying? Your interests diverge as you go through life. Life is a process. It's a journey, you understand? And so, I think a little different. I think outside the box. I think, what if? Okay, here's the scenario. I'm going to make everyone in the story innocent, you know, and allegedly, you know what I'm saying? Everything is alleged when I'm saying. I'm not giving up names, and anything I say is alleged. Now, what if